I have been smiling all week prepping for this video. It's so original, it's like nothing we've ever done before. I am going crazy. We are playing with hexagons today. Black and yellow hexis to be more precise. I mean, think bees and honeycombs. I mean, how cute will this look? Let's do it. We need a 4-inch hexagon template, and if you don't have one of those fancy rulers, no worries, you will not need one. Let's create our very own hexagon right now. No compass required either. So we draw a 4-inch line and mark all the inches along the way, okay? Now we draw a 4-inch line over the 1st inch mark and the 3-inch mark. And now, aligning with the middle of the original line, we draw a diagonal 4-inch line. And now we just trace our hexi, just like so. This is our template. Let's cut. And we need 7 hexis, okay? We want to make that flower shape. Well, I guess honeycomb is more appropriate considering the colors we're using. How cool are bees, guys? And now that we've got our game plan, let's look at these awesome fabrics. We are using some scraps here. I love my scraps, but mostly I have picked these yellow and black fabrics for this project. I do not use black for my quilts. I use them a lot for my pet beds though, but you know, it just isn't a color that I associate with patchwork. I love color and black is a really strong, imposing color. We're using yellow fabric for the hexis and black fabric for the backing and the binding. So let's just go ahead and cut 7 4-inch yellow hexis. Just like we did a while back with our bricks, we're making these hexis quilt as you go. That means that we will treat each hexi independently. Each gets a quilt sandwich of their own instead of sewing the whole top and then making the quilt sandwich. This method is a lot of fun, but it's also really practical for large quilts when we're using a domestic sewing machine because you don't have to feed the entire thing through it. You just make them one at a time. For the black, we need 5-inch hexis instead of 4. And we can do this both ways. We can make a new template with 5 inches if you want, or we can just use the template we have and just add with the ruler an inch all around our edges. So first step to doing that is making small markings where our template ends. So for the 4 inches. And now you just go with our ruler and add an extra inch. And that's how we do a bigger hexi. And now we cut. Next, of course, to complete our quilt sandwich, we will need 7 batting hexis in the same size as our yellow top fabric. Guys, what do you use to mark your batting with? I use these pens, but it's a big freaking mess. What do you use? Is it chalk or something like that? Please let me know in a comment. I'd really love to know. And that is it. That's all we need. Now it's time to make our little puzzles, our little quilt sandwiches. This is the time we start to have real fun. We get a backing fabric, and that's our black. Then we get a little batting hexi, and then we add the top, just like that. And our next step is pressing these 3 layers together. And now we are going to use the extra fabric from the back to do some self-binding. We just fold it in, like so, and then we fold it again over our hexagon. You can pin this in place, you can press it, or you can use our little mini clips. For the hexagons, luckily for us, the corners fold on their own. You see? I don't even have to do anything about it, guys. They just fold on over themselves and we're good to go. I prefer to have my hexis yellow and then have, you know, the binding black because you can still see a lot of black, but the yellow will also stand out. If you make black hexis, you know, all you will see is the black because it really is a very imposing color. If you prefer to do black hexis, go ahead and do that, whatever you feel like it, okay? I just love these. I am going to use my machine to sew these, but you could easily, very easily sew it by hand, okay? All we want is some stitch really near our edge to get all the 3 layers in place. You can do this in any color you want, okay? If you search Quilt-as-you-go hexis, you will see a lot of suggestions for wonderful quilt tops and whatnot with hexis in all sorts of colors and, you know, white binding or colorful binding. Look at this, guys. our little pillow, our little hexi pillow is ready to go. Let's do this 6 more times. We are making 7, but you can do 700 if you want. The process is all exactly the same. If you think that this binding is too thick for your hexis, if you'd rather have a smaller binding, a smaller, strip around it, just make this inch a little bit smaller, like 1/4 of an inch or 3/4 of an inch, whatever is your preference, okay? It doesn't need to be exactly the same as I'm making these. Everything looks better in hexis, okay? Everything. Imagine a square, very cute. Hexi, even better. So whatever you do, whatever color you pick, whatever pattern, it will look absolutely gorgeous. And as you can see, we are using 2 fabrics that are in repeat. So we have 5 different kinds in order to make 7 hexagons, but I have combined the repeated fabrics with different backing fabric. So the black I'm using for one isn't the same as the other. So in fact, they are all different. I have actually tried making big quilts for you guys, and it is a pain to film. I have a very limited camera angle, and it just doesn't do the project any justice. I have a really hard time showing it. With smaller projects, I can show it in all its glory, and then you just have to repeat it and make bigger projects. And of course, you can, sew as you go, or you can chain sew them, which is my personal preference. Look at this one, so simple, solid fabric. I very rarely use solid fabric, but look at this combo, it just works. So cute. I know many of you are a little bit frustrated with the fact that I usually don't put any specific measurements on the description. Well, guess what? Now I have a blog and I will be leaving a link in the description for the blog post for this specific video, and there you will be able to find all the steps written down, all the measurements, all the requirements, and a little bit of something extra, so check it out. And as you can see, they're not exactly the same size. I would suggest you search for the place that is the closest and start sewing there. Don't overlap them, that's not what we're doing here. We want them side by side, but we can press them together to make sure they stay put. We are going to use our lovely zigzag stitch. Look at that, guys, how cute. Let's keep going. Now, I will admit this is a little bit too small for what I had in mind. I wanted a placemat, and this would be a placemat for like a tea and some cookies maybe. So yeah, if you want to do placemat, I would double the size. So instead of 4 inches, I would do 8 maybe. Yeah, that would make a really great placemat. This is a baby placemat. So you can put a bowl and a spoon, or you can put like a teacup and some cookies, whatever. Guys, this one looks exactly as I imagined it, except it's even cooler. I was so right. Don't mean to brag, but I knew this is going to be awesome, and it is. A little bit smaller than I imagined it, but other than that, perfect. So as you can see, we can use either side, and this is pretty cool, but this isn't my favorite. This is my favorite, guys. Look at that. What do you think, guys? Coolest thing ever, right? I hope you liked it, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.